Parts of Wakulla County, specifically the coastal Wakulla County areas, under a mandatory evacuation. Areas more inland, like Crawfordville, for example, are under a voluntary evacuation. But people there still bracing and for the impacts of Hurricane Michael.
Yes, they are. Ben Kaplan is there. He was at Panacea a little earlier where we saw some flooding already starting. So, Ben, you've moved to Crawfordville, a little more inland. How's it looking there?
Yeah, we are in Crawfordville. We're actually at the Wakulla County Sheriff's Department. I want to say this is what you look like when your key fob doesn't work on your car and you run to it for like a minute trying to get your headphones out, okay? This is the kind of stuff that we're looking at right now. A little bit soaked, but just because the rain is coming down here in Crawfordville, a gentleman who was kind enough to take me to Panacea a little bit ago was Wakulla County. Are you guys still have us? I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't know if you lost us or not, but as the PIO for the Wakulla County Sheriff's Department, Chris Savory, first of all, my wife thanks you for getting us back here safely. I know that you guys have been working around the clock to make sure people here stay safe. What's it been looking like from what you've been seeing?
Yeah, it's the winds obviously picked up a tremendous amount over the past couple hours. In fact, the conditions have gotten so bad that we've actually pulled our first responders out of the storm and out of the field until the conditions improve and we can get them back out there. But we started about 2 hours ago. We started to see the wind really pick up, and I'm sure the viewers can hear it in the background, the wind, the rain, but the storm surge is really starting to come in fast now. We're right around 6, probably more since we left down there, 6 feet of storm surge, and that's expected to double and then some. Really unprecedented levels of storm surge for our area, and that's going to be our main concern is the damage that surge causes. It's not just going to be a property damage, it's going to be potentially life-threatening storm surge.
We experienced Panacea not too long ago. I know you guys have been to St. Mark's, you've been to Shell Point. When did things start to get a little bit hairy there?
Yeah, really, it started this morning. We started to see some high water, and that was as a result of the high tides and some of the early surge that was coming in. But really about 2-3 hours ago is when things really started to pick up around here, the wind, and we knew with that wind that water was going to come in. The water's moving in super fast. I mean, you saw it down there just while we were doing the interview down there. It probably came in a foot on us. So that's what we're really concerned about is when that water comes in, it comes in so fast, faster than a lot of people who've lived here their whole lives have ever seen it come in. And that becomes a real problem and a real danger.
Now, you were telling me, and not to get personal, but the fact at your home, you guys have lost power, correct?
Yeah, we lost power. We have several people. It's a hurricane. Everybody who lives here has been through a hurricane. You're going to lose power. Hopefully everybody's prepared to lose power. You're going to be without power, possibly up to a couple of days, maybe even a week. But we're in communication with all the power companies that take care of business here in Wakulla County. They've got people staged. They've actually had to pull their crews in as well until the conditions improve, but they'll be working as hard as they can to get the power back on, but it's going to be a while.
Chris, if people are in their homes right now, they're watching this, and they come across an issue in need, if they call you guys, what's going to happen? Yeah,
it's right now, we put all the information out as early as possible that there was going to be a period that the conditions were going to get so bad that if something came up and you didn't evacuate, you might call us and we might not be able to get to you. We're still going to make every effort we can to assist any citizen that calls, but there's a very real chance, especially if you're along the coastal areas, that we may not be able to get to you.
Okay. Well, Chris, thank you for that information. We appreciate everything you're doing out here. And again, if you are at home, make sure you hunker down, stay safe. We'll continue to bring you updates from Wakulla County as we get them. We're live in Wakulla County. Ben Kaplan, WCTV Eyewitness News.
All right, thanks for that, Ben. We can really only hope that people heeded those warnings and did evacuate.
That's for sure. It's still very early in the storm. We saw that flooding out the car window there as he was going along. That's just the beginning of the thing, too. So a lot of people have evacuated that area, and they got places to go, right?
Yeah, many people staying at local shelters, some of them here in Leon County. You're looking at Godby High School, which is serving as a shelter. It is a pet-friendly shelter, so lots of folks bringing their pets and their entire family so that they could stay safe.
That's right. It's time to go to Nolani Matthews. I believe she has a report from Godby High School. Nolani?
Typically, Red Cross shelters don't allow people to bring their pets inside unless they're service animals. But if you look into this room behind me at the Godby High School Red Cross shelter, they're actually making an exception.
They've been really great here, and as far as having my pet, they've been really kind, and they're doing a swell job.
This is a separate room from where people are staying inside the gym, and there's already about 15 pet crates lining the walls. Earlier, I spoke with one of the pet owners. Him and his 7-year-old dog are seeking shelter from their Tallahassee mobile home.
All right, we had some technical difficulties. That's what happens live TV during the time of a storm, but we are keeping you all informed.
That's true. Keeping you informed is exactly what we're doing, and Rob Nicotola has been at this ever since just about 3 o'clock this morning, as a matter of fact, kind of keeping track of that storm. So, Rob, what is the very latest? The last thing we saw was just brushing up against the coast. Where is it now?
We're going to get to that. You know, the weather nerd in me is just going crazy with this because it's amazing. It keeps getting stronger. I don't know quite how that's possible, but the wind speeds as of the 2 o'clock, could drop that please. Yeah, the wind speeds as of 2 o'clock, 155 miles per hour. Now 157 miles per hour, and we start calling this a Category 5. It's running out of room. It's run out of runway. It's on land in spots, or real close to it. Yet it still wants to get stronger. That pressure at 919 millibars, I mean, we are talking really low air pressure, lower than Hurricane Andrew was. That kind of low. It's just amazing. And it continues to move on off to the north-northeast at 14 miles per hour. It should continue to weaken. It's going to stay on that path. And I do think it's going to continue to really wind down, or at least begin to wind down, because it hasn't yet. Now, what we can expect from that, I know we hear 155 miles per hour. You hear Rob saying flirting with Category 5, and that puts imagery in our head. That doesn't mean those are the kind of winds everybody's going to experience. As a matter of fact, we're not going to experience those kind of winds right around the center. And it's only about a 10 or a 15 mile diameter, that center, that we're talking about the potential for some of those strong winds. And most of those winds are at flight level, which are way up in the atmosphere a little bit. So what are most of us experiencing or expecting to experience? Probably 40 to 60 mile per hour sustained winds. Closer to the storm itself, that's where we'll see those stronger winds. And I will go over the winds again in just a little while when we get to the wind maps, and I'll explain why the winds are the way they are. I still think we're looking at 4 to 8 inches worth of rain when all is said and done. Sure, we could find some spots, 10 or even 12 inches worth of rain, especially west. Lower amounts of rain will be in eastern areas. There's potential for tornadoes. So I haven't seen any rotation yet, and that's a great thing. I hope that continues. I'm real concerned about that storm surge. When we start talking about 8 to 12 feet of higher than normal high tides for surge heights, that's a lot. That's going to bring a lot of water well inland across a lot of those roads near the coastlines. And that's not just for areas close to the coast or close to where the core of the storm is. That's around the entire Big Bend coastline. And that does include spots in Taylor County, Dixie County. Maybe it's not 8 to 12 that far removed from the storm, but maybe it's 6 to 9 or 6 to 10. And that's also very high and very, very dangerous. The hurricane tracker here shows that little wobble at the end, maybe a little bit more to the east, and as it continues to do that and gets over land, it should start to lose its juice. Once it gets off of the water where it doesn't have that fuel source, it's going to get weaker. And if you just look at it there, and there's that East Bay near Panama City, yeah, it's over land right now, but it's still continuing somehow to intensify, at least currently. Now, there's a lot of rain associated with it. Here is that tight band of a circle, and it's these areas here that are likely going to experience the strongest winds. And when we see some of the winds, we're going to see a few things, like how the winds are much stronger at Apalachicola than they are at Panama City, which is a lot closer to the center of the storm, because that eastern side is going to get those stronger winds. There's a really neat enhanced view of the satellite imagery, and that's the eye of the storm right there, making its way up over land. It's real close if it's not there already. We widen out the view and we see it gets a lot shorter on the back side than it was on the front side, where it's much longer. So we see a bigger expanse of the system out ahead of it than we see back behind it, though there is some pretty solid and significant convection still going on back there. So there's still some pretty powerful wind and rain that's got to come ashore on the back side of the storm. All that drier air off to the west is trying real hard to get here, and that's what's helping to really shrink that backside, cutting off some of the convection further away from the center of the storm. All right, let's talk about some of those winds, right? Currently, 58 mile per hour sustained winds at Apalachicola. Hey, the Tallahassee Airport getting up to 38 miles per hour sustained winds. What's a sustained wind? It's a 30 to 60 second average wind speed. So that means it lasts for quite a while. Think about how long 60 seconds is for the wind to blow at that kind of speed. That is significant. Now, that's different than a wind gust, which is just a 2 or 3 second burst. and that's where we're going to find the even higher numbers. But again, we're not seeing 100-mile-per-hour winds here. We're seeing on the high end near 60, most spots closer to 20, and the farther removed from the system we go, we're talking teens. Now, here's some of those wind gusts. The Tallahassee Airport, a 52-mile-per-hour wind gust, and we could absolutely see some wind gusts up over hurricane strength, maybe up over 80 miles per hour. That 2-second jolt can absolutely happen, but to get one to last for 60 seconds, that's going to be hard, even with a system this powerful. Now, over the afternoon, we can see how those futurecast winds are calling for things to stay pretty consistent even all the way till 8 o'clock tonight. But one of the things I want to stress is how these winds actually work, right? Once you get up to about 45 miles away from the center of the storm, that's the drop-off for the hurricane force winds, up over 74 miles per hour. So 50 miles away from the center of the storm, the winds drop off incredibly, exponentially. And then once you get more than that, up to 175 miles from the center, that's as far as the tropical storm force winds, up over 39 miles per hour. So that's a big drop-off once you get past 45 or 50 miles for the next 100 miles. And even then, it's a significant drop-off with the winds. So yes, the winds are still going to be strong. 30, 35, 40 mile per hour winds sustained for a couple hours. That is going to cause damage to structures. That is going to snap trees and twigs and tree limbs and power lines and all those things. It absolutely can and will happen. Thank you to everyone, by the way, for posting on my Facebook and Twitter. Let us know what the power's like where you are. Keep that coming. It's a great warehouse place for everyone to see what their friends and neighbors are experiencing. And if the power's on where they are, maybe they're not here right now, if they're on vacation or if they did evacuate, if you post what it's like where you are and someone you know or love sees that, then they know what the weather's like, or at least what the power situation is like right where you are. So keep firing it at me. I'll keep making sure I retweet that for everybody. It's a great service we can do with the social media. But the bottom line here for a lot of us is, while we hear about these impressive, and I mean incredibly impressive, wind speeds, I don't expect those to actually happen where we are. Now, the storm itself is moving fairly quickly, again, 15, 16 miles per hour now, and it's moving towards, maybe next up is be Blountstown in the next 30 to 60, 90 minutes maybe, depending on how quickly that center gets there. And some of these spiral bands ahead of it, they're significant. So I do think we're going to find some pretty strong downpours mixed in there. We get far removed from the center, and we get some pretty significant breaks in the showers. It might even seem like it's all done, but it's not. We've got several more waves that we have to get through. And some of the ones that we're seeing now for much of Leon County, we'd call that heavy rain, or at least moderate rain. We've got more back through Gadsden County, which will be closer to the core of that storm, which means we likely expect more serious wind and rain as we get through the afternoon. And then we get back over to Chattahoochee, we get north of Blountstown. This is that path that I think the core of the storm is going to take. Remember, the core itself, it's only about 20 or 30 miles wide. That's it. The central core is less than that. But then you add a little bit to it for how wide those thunderstorms are. And we're talking maybe a 30-mile swath where we're going to find some of those strongest winds and strongest rains. And that is going to be more than 50 miles away from, say, Tallahassee or Thomasville. So therefore, we're not expecting those hurricane force-like winds in these areas. Go a little farther to the west. I think on my Facebook page earlier today, I broke this up into some zones, called this over here Zone 3. And that's more like Gadsden County and parts of Liberty County up through Decatur and Seminole County, Georgia, where I think these are areas that could see those 60 or 70 mile per hour sustained winds. But then I put the middle of the viewing area, what I was calling Zone 2, which is where I think we're going to find probably 20 to 40 or maybe up to 50 mile per hour winds, with some spots briefly getting some 60s. And then you get over here towards Jefferson County, Madison County, up through Brooks and Lowndes. That was Zone 1, and that's where we're going to probably find 15 to 30 mile per hour sustained winds. That's all. So far removed from the center of the system. And the distance from the center is important. Now, some of the rains are even starting to calm down in some of our coastal areas. That's nice. But there's plenty of rain still out there wrapping around the center of the storm. And the center of the storm, it's there. And it looks to me like it's on land. I'm waiting for the official call. As far as official call's been made. So it has made landfall already, and that's good. It should start to weaken. Near Mexico Beach is location 155. So that is what they're going to say is the official wind speed at landfall at 919 millibars of pressure. That is amazing, by the way. And once we get past this and we go back and look at the storm and study the storm, it's going to be an incredible meteorological study, I promise. Anyway, as it goes to the north, it should pick up in intensity, it should pick up in speed as it diminishes in intensity. And that's what we want to hear, because we want to get it on and out of here. And when it does get out of here, I do think we're in for much better weather for the next couple of days. Here are those winds, and can you see the difference direction that the arrows are going. We see all the yellow arrows pointing from the southeast to the northwest. That indicates that wind coming in from the south and east, right? And then we see those wind arrows over here coming in from the north and east down towards the southwest, or from the north to the due south. That tells me the storm is right in here. And that's where the center is as the air circulates around it. Notice Panama City, 46 mile per hour wind, Apalachicola, 58. So the winds on that eastern side, they are stronger. So areas like even Marianna and Dothan, where the storm probably goes right nearby, probably finds weaker winds than we'll see in some areas, maybe near Bainbridge, maybe near Bluntstown. We'll see some of those winds up over 60 miles per hour, but that's likely all. Even if that core has those stronger winds, they've got to translate down from the surface, and I don't think that's going to be the case. Plus, as you get farther removed from the Gulf waters, you lose that steam, it will lose intensity, and likely in a hurry. All right, we're going to take a break. I'll extend it back to the news desk in just a second. I just want to show you the extended forecast, because all we talk about is Michael, Michael, Michael. But take a look at what we're looking at as we head into the upcoming weekend. Some actual fall-like weather, guys. That'll make this all seem a whole lot better.
All right, thank you so much, Rob. Pretty incredible there. As you said, the storm has officially made landfall. And there's a lot of folks in our area right now that are so grateful they got out of those evacuation areas and got into shelters around here. Huh?
And there are a lot of shelters around here in Leon County. High schools serving as shelters. Childs High School is one of them. Our Abby Walton is there.
If it's a little hard to hear, as you can tell, I am in the pet side of Childs High School. What's happening is people will come in with their pets. They'll be ushered to a separate building. They'll register with the Leon County Humane Society, leave their pets here, and then, of course, if they need to be walked and that sort of thing, they can come and do that as well. Animals definitely feeling the effect of Hurricane Michael. We have been told that not only are there dogs and cats here, but there are also parrots, a ferret, and even a pig here as well. So lots of people taking the warning, bringing their pets here, and so that everybody can stay safe.
All right, well, it's pretty hard to hear. But I mean, people bringing their pets. Pets are members of their family, so they want everyone to be safe. Godby High School is also a pet-friendly shelter in our area. That's
for sure. That sounded like a 1001 Dalmatians or something, an episode of that. Well, let's go to Godby High School now. It is also pet-friendly, and Lenitra Bennett takes us there.
The lights inside of the gymnasium went out a little after 12:30. A lot of people were startled, but not frantic. Everyone is rowing, they're going with it, rolling with the flow. And of course, the lights are still on in this part of the gym. This is the lobby area. And of course, there's outside. A lot of people had been hanging out outside anyway, but there are about 278 people signed up at the shelter here at Godby. That was as of noon. So a lot of people taking advantage of it. They're working on the light situation inside of the gym. It should be up pretty soon, but everyone is doing well. They're doing okay, not upset about anything. They're just going with it, and they're just glad to be here. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks for that, Lenitra. As you've seen, we have team coverage. Our crews are all across North Florida, even in South Georgia, keeping you updated on all you need to know about the storm. You can also download our Pinpoint Weather app, a new app. Our weather team has you covered.
And we'd like it if you have any pictures to go ahead and go to our website, WCTV, and if you can safely do it, submit those. Just hit the Submitted tab there, and we'll be able to show maybe some of those pictures later on. We have lots more coverage just ahead. Stay with us.